I'll turn around and give them the evil eye, make them list their credentials, their reasons for being here, and then we'll tell them to leave. No, we'll let them stay. Will we let them stay? We won't let them stay? No, man.
There's not room. There's no room.
So, since it's so early, I guess we'll make this like a super, a private Q&A. So we'll get to talk about whatever y'all want to talk about.
Maybe we should close the door.
I know. Oh, hey. Yes, you were hand this up diligently.
Actually, I have two questions if you don't mind.
Well, I don't know. There's so many people here. We might not be able to get to all of them.
Well, that's the more important one. How'd you get your start?
My start. So I started in 2003? Question mark. Right out of college. I went to school at TCU in Fort Worth, Texas, which is actually where Funimation Productions is. And I had the same acting agent in Dallas as Laura Bailey, Damian Clark, Colleen Klinkenbeard. We all kind of had the same agent, but none of us were really trying to go into voiceover. And Laura, actually in high school, at the end of her senior year, saw like a newspaper ad for a company that was looking for people to dub things from Japan. We didn't really know what that meant. I don't think she did either. But she got cast in Dragon Ball Z. That was years before it was obviously even ever on Cartoon Network, which is where I saw it. And I'm a huge DBZ fan. Huge, seen every single episode. And in college, one day after watching it, I saw her name go down the credits, and I was like, oh my God. So I called her up and I was like, how are you in my favorite show right now? She goes, oh, we recorded in Fort Worth. I'm like, I live in Fort Worth. So I begged for about 2 or 3 years for her to get me an audition, which she promptly did not do, ever. Son of a bitch. And after doing a theater show in Fort Worth with Colleen Klinkenbeard and Mike McFarlane, and Justin Cook, who were both higher ups at Funimation, came and saw the show, and they said, hey, we thought you were really great. We have this new show we're auditioning for called Fullmetal Alchemist. Would you like to come and audition? I said, yeah, awesome. So that's kind of how it got started. I came in and they were showing like a picture of the character and their names, and I was like, oh, Colonel Roy Mustang? That's an awesome name. Like, does he have awesome Saiyan powers? Like, no, there are no Saiyans in this show, Travis.
That sucks.
Are you sure? Can that change? But that's how I got. Mustang was like my first big role ever, and consequently, if you ever go back and watch the first Fullmetal Alchemist series, in my opinion, I totally suck. It was such a learning experience, but that's how I got started in anime, which is how I got started doing everything. Yeah.
Yeah. How was it? An episode of Nip Tuck.
Nip Tuck. Oh
yeah,
man.
Yeah, when you dressed like a.
Oh yes, Big Jane was who I played. So if you haven't, if you have your mobile devices on you, it's only the best thing you'll see all day. So I'm 6'4", like 235 pounds, and my agent in Los Angeles called me one day and goes, "Hey, you know the show Nip Tuck on FX? You guys remember Nip Tuck?"
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, they're looking for a really tall guy for a guest starring part in an episode. I was like, oh, okay, cool. What is it? And he goes, I think you should just go, man. You should just go. I'm like, what's the part, Greg? And he goes, it's a character named Big Jane. I was like, I'm sorry, man. I think you said Jane. Like, is it Big James? He goes, no, it's Big Jane. Like, what are you talking about, Greg? He goes, oh, Jane is a cross-dresser? He owns a belts and boas and belt store that supplies S&M and sexual clothing. I was like, uh-huh. So the audition is for a guy that loves to wear women's clothes, owning this store, and Mario Lopez and the two main characters from Nip Tuck come in and try and get Mario some fancy S&M clothes so he can satisfy an exotic request from his girlfriend. But I had to be there in like a strawberry blonde wig, a double D padded bra, a corset, a skirt, hose, and heels. Oh my God, women, how do you wear heels? I had 4-inch heels that were like, they were big square ones, right? So it was like beginner level. It wasn't even like stiletto or something that was hard. I couldn't walk anywhere. I put them on and then I like opened the door to my trailer and I was like, help! The guy came running over, he's like, yeah? I'm like, I can't walk in these. He's like, you literally can't walk? I'm like, not without falling over. It's gonna be the Eiffel Tower coming down. So I had to put my hands on people's shoulders and walk. So I got mad respect for women that wear heels. Tall heels, tall heels.
Yeah.
So if you're ever curious, you just YouTube my name and Nip Tuck and you'll see me being a giant woman.
Oh God.
You're welcome. Yes?
Can you share a weird con experience?
Oh man, a weird COD experience.
Like right now.
Like right now. So I think my first convention was like 2005, so maybe like 10 years of cons, off and on. Yeah, there are a few. Receiving hair as a gift is always weird. Yeah, right? It like immediately, just hearing it is weird enough. Like opening up an envelope or a folded piece of paper, like an origami swan, and someone going, open it up. And you're like, no, I don't want to mess up the swan. This is gorgeous. And they're like, no, really, open it up. And it's like hair. And they're like, I just wanted you to have something to remember me by. You're like, I will never forget this. I will be throwing it away, but I will never forget it. I had someone give me, they brought up a big, like, armored case that had buckles on it, and they flipped it open, and it was lined with velvet, and inside was a brand new, shiny saxophone. I was like, oh my God, man, this is gorgeous. And he's like, yeah, I was wondering if you could sign my saxophone. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I would be honored. This is amazing. And so I get out my Sharpie and I'm like, hey, is this yours? He goes, no, it belongs to my school.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. Like, you're obviously making this choice on your own. Yeah, there are too many con stories to mention. Maybe I'll save some for tomorrow. I'm sure there will be some by tomorrow. Yes?
Out of all of your various jobs, which one do you think you had the most fun, like, on the job site?
Man. Like in all of video games and animation and anime, or just... That's hard, man. That's really tough. Films can be kind of a grind, but we did this one movie that has never seen the light of day, thank God, called To Have and to Hold. And it was a 16th century film where Laura and I got to have British accents, and we walked around in colonial Virginia. And the characters were ridiculous, but we filmed with period attire in an amazing set in Virginia. We got to shoot in the Cayman Islands. We got to like go to all these crazy exotic places. That's always amazing. But sometimes on films you get punched in the face. I worked on Secondhand Lions with Robert Duvall and Michael Caine and Haley Joel Osment, the freaky little kid from The Sixth Sense.
Okay.
And we had a scene where a group of hoods, young thugs, of which I was a part of, come into this, southern restaurant where they're enjoying some barbecue, and we start making a ruckus. And we come in and we get in this fight, and we had choreographed this fight so that we're all just kind of, working with Robert Duvall's stunt double for like 2 weeks. We practiced it, and the day of the shoot, Robert Duvall goes, no, I want to do the fight. So when multiple Oscar winner Robert Duvall goes, I want to do the fight, everybody goes, oh yeah, okay, sure, Bob. We'll take like 30 minutes and teach you the fight that we've been practicing for 2 weeks. So the fight starts off with him shoving one of my friends, and I run up and throw this huge right roundhouse at his head, right? All he has to do is duck. He knees me in the stomach, punches me in the head, and the fight goes off. Because in fights you like frame it you shoot it a couple seconds at a time. You don't do the whole thing once. So I'm like, okay, all he has to do is duck. They call action, and he's just standing there, and I run up, and I'm like,
Oh no.
you gotta duck, bro. And he's just standing there, and my hand was just like right next to his face. Like I almost knocked out multiple Oscar winner legend. He's like 72 years old. Oh my God. He's looking around going, no, I duck here, or is that what I do? Yes, sir, you duck. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. And so we go through the entire fight, and the last thing, after like 2.5 hours of shooting, is I'm the guy that kind of just like keeps getting up, punch drunk, and he's supposed to punch me in the face and put me in a headlock and pour beer on my head. And when you're shooting on film, the camera can't tell depth. So to stage the punch, like if the camera's over here, we would be like this. And all he has to do, looking at me, is just punch on the opposite side of my head, anywhere, just like that. And then I'll snap my head back and it looks like he's punching me, right? Just all of this is at his disposal. They call action and he punches me dead in the nose.
Oh, damn.
It's like, poof. And if you've ever actually been punched in the nose, whether it's hard or not, it sucks. Like your eyes water, you can't see anything, and invariably the most wuss sound ever comes out of your mouth. You're like, ah! So he punches me, I'm like, ah! They call cut, they're like, what was that? I'm like, he hit me! I'm like, no, there must be some confusion, he wouldn't hit you. Well, we're reset for take 2. The stunt coordinator goes over and talks to Mr. Duvall, and I see him go over and go, okay. And walks away. I was like, you didn't say anything to him? And sure enough, take 2, ready, action, boom, punches me right in the mouth. Right? And he's 72 years old, so it's not like he's like lighting me up or anything, but it's still like bones and flesh meeting my lips and teeth and my nose. So it's like crunch. Ow! Right? And so my lip starts to swell a little bit. I go over to the stunt coordinator again. I'm like, he is punching me in the face! I don't know if you can tell, but it's happening! And he's like, oh, okay, so I'll go over and talk to him. Sure enough, goes over and like, he doesn't even talk to him this time, he just like pats him on the back. I'm like, this is a conspiracy. Like, ready, and action, boom! Punches me in the nose for a second time. I've been punched 3 times so far. My like eyes are starting to water, my lips like, what is happening? And they're like, oh, we had a little bit of a light problem. We need to go one more time. My nose is like starting to bleed. My lip is fat. I'm like, I don't know why everybody hates me. And at this point, it hurts so much that when take 4 comes up, they're like, all right, ready and action. He like steps back. I see him start to throw, and I go, like I flinch, and he stops, and he goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm tired of you hitting me, Mr. Duvall. He goes, what are you talking about? You're a stuntman. I'm like, no, not a stuntman, just a regular actor like you, but it's okay. And he goes, you're not a stuntman? I'm like, no. He goes, who's been letting me punch this son of a bitch in the face? You see the stunt coordinator like run out the back door? He's like, I tell you what, son, I'll give you $500 and we'll call it even. I'm like, okay. That'll work. So films can be very fun. The only thing about like recording is that normally, especially in anime, you're only in the booth like one at a time. Like on Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, I never saw Maxie Whitehead until we went to a convention. The girl that played Alphonse, I never met her. So we'll never see other people that come in. If like Scott McNeil comes in from Canada or whatever, I will never see him. So unless it's a group record and like original animation, like on Avengers, Sophia the First, Ultimate Spider-Man, stuff like that, we'll get to have a room full of insane people, all with different microphones. And that's literally a loony bin. Because you've got grown-ass adults acting stupid, making faces, like, shooting their hands and whipping, yeah. I mean, Roger Craig Smith, who is also the voice of like Ezio and Sonic the Hedgehog and stuff, is also Captain America in Avengers. So every time he has to throw his shield, he pretends to throw his shield. And he's like, I always go,
That's why we come to this con.
What's that?
That's why we come here.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's nice to be in a room full of adults and like I pretend to have Mjolnir and I pretend to throw my imaginary Uru hammer. It doesn't exist. They won't even make me one. It's terrible. Yes.
Do you have a favorite voice actor?
That is a good question. So before I met him, Chris Sabat was so it was like, I was like, this guy is amazing, right? He does the voice of Vegeta that is so cool. That's all I knew, right? Never thought to actually look up all the characters he played, which turned out to be like, 30 different people in Dragon Ball Z. And when I met him at Dragon Ball Z for the first time, he was working on a show called Case Closed. Yeah. And he was directing me, and it wasn't supposed to be him. He was filling in for somebody. I walked in, and bald-headed Christopher Sabat is there, and he's like, "Hey man, Chris Sabat, nice to meet you." I was like, "Oh shit, Chris Sabat?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, Christopher R. Sabat? And he's like, "Yeah man, what's going on?" I'm like, "You're Vegeta." And he goes, "Yeah, I am." I'm like, "That's awesome." He's like, "You a fan of DBZ, bro?" I'm like, Yeah, I may have seen an episode or two. He's like, "Oh, cool. You know I play Piccolo also, right?" I'm sorry. Are you saying you play Piccolo and Vegeta? He's like, "Yeah." I need to change my pants. I don't understand. He's like, "Oh, I do both voices." He's like, "I played 9 different people in the first 2 seasons." And I had no idea that had ever happened. So I was insanely impressed with his ability to kind of chameleon like that. Frank Welker is like, obviously one of my favorites, and Mel Blanc is, of course, like the biggest titan of all time. You guys know who Mel Blanc is, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, Foghorn Leghorn, basically every single Looney Tune you can think of, that's him. He gave birth to them all. Yes?
Are you voicing Reli's Clover in BlazBlue?
Yes, Relius Clover and BlazBlue. Yeah, BlazBlue! BlazBlue! Yeah, BlazBlue, Relius Clover, yeah.
So, when is that gonna finally, release in the dub?
Which one, the dub?
The dub, yeah.
I don't know. We recorded it in, I think like January or February. So it should be pretty soon.
Okay.
They never tell us that stuff.
Oh.
We usually come in and record and they're like, "Oh thanks, goodbye, see you later, don't ever come here again. Don't write us any emails, don't ask any questions." We're like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, but I'm not sure. Pretty soon, I think.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully, yeah. Yes?
Me?
Yeah.
All right. I have 2 questions. One, you were great as Long Q in Fire Emblem Awakening.
Awesome, thank you.
And I was just wondering if you're going to be lending your voice again for the upcoming Fire Emblem game coming out next year.
I think so. Have they? And so the game's been announced?
Yeah, the game was announced earlier, but
Yeah, they announced a new Fire Emblem game.
Oh, okay.
They're actually coming out with 2 different versions. They're calling it Fire Emblem IF, and there's actually going to be a black and a white version of it, like Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
Apparently you can play as, you actually play as a character in the Empire or as...
I don't know. The sad part is they might have, we might have already recorded that, and I just don't remember. The great thing is like, I feel like with each passing year, they get so in their heads about security that they will change the game title and the character names and not tell us. They'll be like, "You're recording character Bob. You've recorded Bob before." I'm like, I have? And they're like, "Yes, here's a sound reference." And they'll play a file from like the first Fire Emblem game. And I'll be like, "This seems familiar," but the first Fire Emblem game, people don't realize, like, we recorded in about an hour and a half. And we didn't see anything beforehand. Most of us don't even know what the story is about. Like, we didn't even know what it was called. I think then, though, they would have been like, "Your character's name's Long Q," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. What does Long Q do?" "Well, we'll get to that later. Just read these lines." So you'll like bang through the lines, you'll never see it again, and then people are like, "I love Fire Emblem." I'm like, "Yeah." Is it good? We don't know. So that might be one of them. I don't know if we recorded it again, and I'm not sure if they're having us back if we haven't. That's a sucky answer, isn't it?
And my second question is, do you like dogs?
I love dogs! Forever and always, dogs. But seriously, I'm allergic to cats.
Oh,
I know it sucks, they're so cute, but it's like level 10 death for me. By fire, I will perish. Luigi, man, that glove.
Anyway, I know that you're currently the voice of Knuckles in the Sonic the Hedgehog series.
Yes.
And also Zavik in Sonic Lost World. I just wanted to know, what was it like to work on the Sonic franchise? Were you excited to learn that you were going to be working on the Sonic franchise?
Yeah, I mean, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, it was one of the first games I had in my Sega Genesis in the 90s. Like, Sonic's huge. Sonic himself has had like 9 or 10 different voice actors, and Knuckles has gone through just as many actors. I think they moved from recording in New York to LA. So like Roger Craig Smith is Sonic, I'm Knuckles, Amy's played by Cindy Robinson, Tails is now played by Colleen Villard. Of course, Eggman is still the same. Mike Pollock is just incredible. But it's really funny. Like I feel like the first couple Sonic Boom games still have like a sort of a Japanese coming to English feel. Like it's a little stilted, but the style is what it is. And with Sonic Boom, I feel like they've really tried to make the stories a little bit more interesting. The comedy is obviously played up a lot. Knuckles is a lovable idiot who is on steroids but never does leg day apparently.
I like the new direction with the Sonic games that they
Oh yeah?
like even with the mainstream on like Sonic Lost World, they're taking a more comedic route. And
Yeah, it's true.
I think that's a very good directional choice for the series.
Yeah, Sonic Boom, the game, was a little not finished, and I think they know that. But I think they're trying to make up for their errors the second time around.
Yeah,
So,
Fire and Ice, I believe.
yeah, Fire and Ice. I know that much about it because again, they don't tell us anything. It's like they don't trust us or something. We have to sign these giant NDAs. You guys know what NDAs are? Non-disclosure agreements. Yeah, they're literally a giant binding legal document that goes, if you speak about this, we will cut off your legs and burn your reproductive parts. So we don't ever get to talk about anything that we actually have any knowledge about, but that stuff we don't even know. So it's like they make us sign our lives away and then they don't trust us to say anything. Don't tell us anything anyway.
That's true.
Yes, in the back.
So if I remember correctly, you dubbed over the live-action Mushishi movie?
Yes, I did.
How different
Random
was
poll.
that?
What's that?
How different was that, doing like the lip flaps for that? Like,
It's totally different. Like, the Mushishi anime was amazing. It was slow. The music is like melodic and relaxing. It's creepy story content. But the animated lip flaps are like just this tiny little thing. So it's super easy, right? Live action, you have all the complexities of an actual human face doing stuff with random it's not just a mouth like opening and closing, it's actual lips forming vowels and consonants, and you're like, oh my God, this is impossible. So it can be a lot harder. It takes a lot longer too, obviously, because you're like, what is happening? The writers are the one that have the hardest job though, because they'll get the translated line, which may make no sense at all, especially when it gets to like mystic Japanese things. They'll be like, the red crane talks tree river walks stand. He's like, that doesn't even make sense. And then he has to like make that into English and have it fit within the lip flap. So they really have the hardest jobs, and we just deliver what they write and try not to make it sound like dog poop. Yes.
So I just finished playing Virtue's Last Reward a couple weeks ago. And did you know anything about Kay's character after going into the game?
No. That is another one. When we were booked on that game, it was probably called Project Chocolate or Raspberry or something. And we're like, okay. And we don't know our character's name, we don't know the name of the game, and they may have let it slip during the session that they were like, okay, so we're going to be recording a game called Virtue's Last Reward. That would probably be the only time they would say it. And then like, they don't even give us a picture of our character. Sometimes they don't even give us our name, and they'll go, okay, so your character is a, you know what, forget all that. You like this girl, and you're trying to gain her affections. Okay, that's all they tell us, which is not fair. Like, we love these properties and these shows, and sometimes we wish we, you know, knew more. But then they're like, oh, yeah, I mean, if you want to know more, you can just play the game when it comes out. Like, are you going to give us a free copy of the game? They're like, no. Okay. Sounds fair. Yes?
Which character out of all the ones you voiced do you feel like you relate to the most?
It's a tough one. So Roy Mustang's obviously like my favorite in the anime world. I think he's just the most like layered, complex, interesting, funny, dangerous character that I played in an anime show. So I do this Disney Junior show called Sophia the First. And I played King Roland. And first, like, I was a Disney baby. Like, I was raised on Disney titles. And while other kids were listening to like music and learning about the world, I was being like, and I was in my little protected house watching The Little Mermaid 300 times. It's terrible, trust me, I know. Like, when a whole new world comes on, I'm like the only giant dude that knows every single word. And it's not a good thing. So when Disney was like, yeah, we'd love you to work on the show, I was like, yes, amazing! But I play a king who, you know, is a loving father figure. So he's like this very well-rounded, very polite, you know, very, very good morals type of character. And that's a lot of fun too. But it's always fun to play the mischievous characters, you know? They're just more fun to play.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean, you'll often hear actors go like, you know, between good guys and bad guys, what do you like to play? And they'll go, like to play. You know, I mean, the good guys are fun to play, and they'll go like, which one is more fun to play? And they'll go, oh, the bad guys. It's just more fun being bad without the repercussions. Right? You can be as evil as you want to and not actually have to face beheading or jail time or whatever it is. Like what?
Zapping.
Yeah, well, like, so Zavik and Sonic, I came in to do Knuckles, and they were like, so we're gonna have you play the villain? And I was like, the villain? They're like, yeah, it's a character named Zavik. I'm like, okay. They're like, can you just make it not sound like Knuckles? Sure. I didn't even audition for Zavik. They're like, just make him evil. I'm like, okay, how does this sound for evil? And they're like, yeah, it works. Any other question? Yes? Ooh, good question. So the Last Remnant was one of the first games that we were in that we didn't know what it was, and my character shows up on screen to do some ADR, and it's a giant standing cat with 4 arms and a sword in each arm. I was like, what is happening? What is this? He's like, oh, this character's name is Torgal. You're obviously a giant cat. I was like, I see that! I have whiskers and a nose and ears and 4 arms.
Whoa.
With swords. Are the swords magic? And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, and they're not? I don't get magic swords even though I'm a giant cat with 4 arms?
Oh, God.
And it actually turned out to be pretty fun to play.
Oh, God.
But I was like, are you gonna ask me to meow or anything? Or like, meow? He's like, no, you won't be. You won't be making cat noises. But normally if they don't tell us the game, it's kind of hard for us to get hyped about it while it's being made or before it comes out because, you know, due to the fact we don't know what it is. So that kind of makes it hard. But other games like the Halo games that we're in, obviously we get all sorts of excited. The Last of Us, you know, Laura and I are huge gamers. You know, I'm a third person, first person, over the shoulder type player. I tried my hand at RPGs, I kind of suck at them. Whereas like RPGs are her jam. She works through those sub-menus, Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, like that's her niche. She's awesome at those games. I watch her play those and I'm like, why does it look like to me that you are commanding a space shuttle right now? She'll be just flipping through sub-menus and selecting potions and healing this party member and then switching over here and da-da-da. I'm like, Just give me a dot and let me shoot people. This is a grenade. That's much easier. Or make Mario just jump. Have you guys ever met Roger Craig Smith, by the way?
Not yet.
Nobody ever has met RCS, Roger Craig Smith?
Well, I got to ask him a few questions on a live stream one time. That's about it.
That's good. Did he happen to do his hand farts for you?
No.
Oh my God, you guys. So there's this thing, there's a guy called the Manualist that's on YouTube, and he can like take his hands and, can't do it. There you go. Roger makes the most amazing human fart noises with his hands you've ever heard. But in addition to that, he can make Mario jump. It's like, with his hands. But if you look up the Manualist on YouTube, this guy will do like Bohemian Rhapsody with his hands. And you're like, no, that can't be any good. It's amazing. It is so good. You're like, there's no way. It's incredible. He'll do like the national anthem. You're like, no. I'm like, it's real. Yes?
How long have you and Laura met each other since you got married?
So, Laura and I have known each other since like 1999. When we were seniors in high school. We, again, were with the same agent. And the first time we met, we were extras on an industrial commercial, which is like the lowest of the lowest of the low. Like, I think we were gonna be there for 6 or 7 hours, and they were gonna give us like $99 for 7 hours at night. And we were like, we are rich. We are famous and we are rich. You know, there are cameras everywhere. We're like actually on a film set. We're like, the Oscars are the next step. Where are the paparazzi? And we're like sitting at a table with 30 other people in a room, and if you've ever been an extra, you have to basically say watermelon. Like, they ask you to look like you're having an active dialogue, but you can't say anything, right? You can't make a sound, because even in a restaurant, or even better, like in a club, where people are like dancing and drinking and stuff, they aren't playing any music, and it is dead quiet, because as the actors are walking through the room, even if there are 300 people in there, and they're like, nobody's making a sound. It is the weirdest thing you'll ever see, because the actors walk and go like, I know, we have to be there by midnight. If we're late, he's gonna chop my nose off. Yeah? So they have to get that dialogue. So we're sitting at a table for 7 hours, and I mean, they're doing hundreds of takes of the same thing, and she and I are just looking at each other going, we didn't do that last part. But, so we're doing that, and that's how we met. Didn't really know each other until like 3 years later when I saw her in DBZ, and I was like, oh, what are you doing at my show? Didn't get me an audition. We did a independent film together where we dated a little bit, and then I went to LA, and she was in Dallas working at Funimation for like 3 or 4 more years, and she came out to Los Angeles in 2008, I think. And we started dating after that. We got engaged in, I should know all this. We got engaged in like 2010. That guy's turning into a Super Saiyan. And we got married in 2011. So I guess I've known her for, do the math on that. What's the math? So like 16 years? Thank you. I was told there would be no math. Literally my worst subject.
I know.
I had an amazing statistics teacher my senior year. But like, I had great grades, but I always struggled at math. And he came up to me like, like 5 weeks into the first 6 weeks, and he was like, "You are the worst math student I've ever seen." And I was like, I know. And he goes, "I'll tell you what. If you don't talk in class and you sit there quiet as stone," he's like, "I will meet with you after class. We will go over the stuff, and I will pass you with a 70, but just a 70." I was like, "You are amazing." I realized how lucky I was to have that guy. That's also kind of cheating, but I also talked a lot in class, so it was a mutually beneficial agreement. Yes.
Have you seen the You Got This Travis sign?
The what? What is it called?
It's an owl, and it's the You Got This Travis.
No! Oh yes, please, bring it up here if you can. It's called You've Got This, Travis? And it's an owl? Hold on.
Uh-oh.
There's not many people in here. We can do this, we can do this.
Travis, make him wait for it.
Oh my God, can I have this? This is amazing.
Oh my God, he'll be there for hours now.
Travis, make him wait for it.
He loves
That's
it.
incredible. I need that owl in my life. You've got this, Travis. Make him wait for it.
Boom!
Boom. That is incredible. Yes.
So, I don't know if you remember.
Are you wearing an owl mask, by the way?
What? No.
Oh, okay. I have terrible
He has
eyesight.
to make you wait for something.
Oh, gotcha.
Not too long ago, you did Johnny for Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, like, did you know you were doing that character?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
I guess my real question is, what kind of direction did they give you, especially for interacting with the character Erica in that game?
Right. Well, first, they did tell us they did tell me who my character was. They did say it was Catherine. We knew it was being done by Atlas and that it was a pretty highly anticipated game, so we were excited about that. It was also cool because it was kind of our group of friends in LA, like Troy Baker played the lead character, and then it was like Liam O'Brien, Yuri Lowenthal, myself. I forget who the fourth guy was that like sat in the booth. So that was cool. So it made for easy interaction. The direction for him was like, he's kind of like this emo, kind of smoking, likes his coffee character. He's just kind of like whatever, you know. So that was easy. I don't know who Erica is.
She was the waitress.
Oh, right. I forget what the direction was for her, but did I flirt with her? No?
Oh, they got
Was I mean to her? Maybe? I could keep guessing, or you could tell me.
20 questions.
Oh, you don't want to spoil it. That's yeah. I don't actually remember. It was a couple years ago. So. I'm not a very smart guy. It comes in, it goes out. It happens really fast. That's basically how it goes. I guess I should. So the games we've done in the last couple of years are like. I should have a list of these things. Like The Last of Us, Halo, Infamous Second Son. I should have a list. It's a lot. There are a lot. Yeah. Any other question? Yes.
So I know when you played Maury, he wasn't a man of a lot of words, but were you still
man.
have a lot of fun playing him? Like,
Yeah. Maury was actually one of my favorite characters because he said nothing. Like they were like, there's this show, Ouran High School Host Club. There are a bunch of hosts. You're this really tall, silent type. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And we get in, and like the first 16 cues are just HMM period. It's like, oh, I mean, you're serious. Like, he doesn't say anything. They're like, no, he says stuff. I'm like, oh, he does? And they're like, yeah, we'll go to one of his lines. And it's fancy tuna. That's a lot. No, he has other stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Next line. No cake. I'm like, oh,
okay.
this is amazing. So like, you know, in anime, you'll usually go, like they have all of your lines queued up in an episode. Like you'll have like 12 lines in an episode. So they'll be like, line 13, line 26, line 34, And they're like, no, it's actually more of like a statement. Great, here we go. Line 34. And I was like, you know, we could record like 40 different ways and then I would be done with the show. She was like, yeah, but that would be way too fast and not as much fun for me. When Glass was directing it, I'm like, you're an evil person and nobody likes you. That part's not true.
He also says meat skinny.
He does say meat skinny. That's right. Meat skinny, honey, no cake, fancy tuna. Cake will rot your teeth. He says a couple of things.
did you do like a bunch of viewers? One of them was talking about like the seashell walk
Oh my God. Like his most well-known line isn't even in the show. It's like in the outtakes. So like when you live in Los Angeles and Funimation is in Texas, you have to fly 1,500 miles back. And because you can only be there for a limited amount of time, you don't have a reasonable recording schedule, which would be like an hour or 2 hours and then come back the next day, or even 4 hours and come back the next. Sometimes you can go 8 to 12 hours a day, like straight. Break for lunch, maybe. So your brain starts to turn into a mixture of like cottage cheese and applesauce, which is incredible. But the outtakes happen all the time, especially when you get a little like slap happy. So they're walking into like a department store or something like that, and there's a mannequin that's wearing a bathing suit and another one that has like a bathing shawl and like a bikini top that has like Little Mermaid seashells.
Oh God.
So I just went, Maury likes seashells. Oh, yeah. She was like, oh my God, hold on. Record, do that again. That happens a lot. And I think they've just started leaving the record button on and just like filtering out stuff they don't want because they realize all of the stupid stuff I'm saying has value. I wish they did outtakes for every show, because we come up with some ridiculous stuff. Like pro anime voice dubbing people have insane timing. So we'll match lip flaps with lines that we just entirely make up, and it looks like that's what it was meant to say. And it's usually very inappropriate. Yes.
So when did you know you first wanted to be a voice actor?
So like I loved cartoons as a kid, but I was also that kid that thought that He-Man and Tigra and Lion-O were all real people. Like it never occurred to me that actual human beings were the voices behind these characters. And I'm sure if I had met them when I was real little, I'd be like, no, you are! So I always loved cartoons and animated projects. I didn't even know that was a possibility to do voiceover until the end of my college senior year, and I found out that Laura was working at Funimation. Like I just thought that Dragon Ball Z was recorded in, I don't know, California or New York or maybe Canada or something, because there was a Canadian cast for a while. So I just thought it was anywhere but Texas, right? Middle of Texas seems so random. But when I found out it wasn't, and the Dragon Ball Z was recorded there, which I loved, you start to realize that it's actually attainable in a small way. I mean, the road to get from not knowing anything about voiceover to like being in one of those shows is still incredibly long, but it's not as long as going like, I don't even know where they do it, and I've never done it before. So then it just became like a process of wanting it really bad and then figuring out how to make it happen. And a lot of people ask the question like, how do you get into voiceover? And if that's something you're interested in, like the first thing I always say is you've got to be an actor, right? Stage actor, stand-up, doing film, whatever it is, like you've just got to be a really good actor, period. Because half of it is just making crap up. Like people think that we're really good, but it's really just our imaginations. Like there's no difference between what we do and what everybody else does. It's just either what we do translates better or sounds better or maybe clicks with what a director or producer wants to hear. Or if they're not hearing what they want to hear, they'll give us a note, make it sound sadder, make it a little more serious. Let's hear a little more vulnerability. And as an actor, you can go like, okay, I know what that sounds like or what that feels like. Do it again and just make that change. So once I found out that it was close and it was actually fun to do, that was really cool. Whether I could make like a living doing that, because anime is one of the things that doesn't pay a whole lot, so you have to do other things on the side just to like get that career kind of up and going. That was also part of figuring out what you want to do. But once you're in the world and you realize all the projects that are out there and the fans and like the different characters and you get into the mythologies, it's so much damn fun. It's ridiculous. And I love that DBZ will not die. I love it. Like I love the latest movie that came out, and I love that they're doing a new series in Japan. It makes me so happy. Yes.
For Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, what were your personal thoughts on Roy Mustang when he ignited lust into ash?
So has anybody not seen Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood that wants to? Good. Oh, yes! Spoilers! Amazing. So who has seen FMA Brotherhood? All right, cool. Awesome. Sweet. So they set it up so that when Mustang and Lust have their showdown, I think Laura recorded first, right? But Laura wasn't as crazy avid about watching the subs beforehand like I was. Like I was like trying to find them any way I could, bugging Funimation. I'm like, give me a copy of it, I want to see what happens. So I knew what was coming, and I was like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. She's like, whatever, I'm sure it'll be fine. And I'm like, I didn't have the heart to tell her. I was like, you are gonna scream your ass off. It's gonna be so brutal. And so I think she came in like two or 3 days before I did. And when she came back to LA, I was like, hey, and she goes, hey. Oh man, like her voice was just gone. I was like, I can't wait to hear it. So I got to Funimation and they walk in and they go, okay, so let's start with a like, hold on. I want to hear Laura die. And Mike McFarlane's face was like, you what? I'm like, I want to hear Laura die. Turn it all the way up. So sure enough, like they play her, burning by fire repeatedly dead. And I'm just in awe of what she's doing because it's so heavy metal. Like she's just going for it. And it definitely ramps up whatever performance you're going to give. I mean, most of the time we just imagine what it's going to sound like. I mean, we've seen the subs. We know what, whether it's Caitlin or Colleen or Laura or anybody that works there, we know what they're capable of, so we can kind of imagine it. But once you actually hear it, if you have the benefit of someone recording in front of you, it changes everything. So when she was screaming that crazy, I was like, okay, this is going to be a badass scene. So it was really fun, and Mike and I really wanted to get it right, so we did it a lot just to make sure that Mustang was as nails as we could possibly make him. But Laura did the heavy lifting on that one because Mustang he rarely gets mad to the point where he's yelling, except for when he's having a barbecue with Envy. So that's why that was so fun. Like in terms of fights, like Mustang Envy was #1 for me, and then Mustang Lust was #2 because Mustang loses it when he's fighting Envy, and I thought that was just awesome. That was my partial Mustang Super Saiyan moment. He's just freaking out so much.
Cool.
Yeah. Questions? Yes and no.
Did you heard of One Piece before you ever recorded it?
Yes. So One Piece is huge in Japan. We've been to Japan, I think like 4 times now, and it is everywhere. It is bigger than The Simpsons in America. Like, it's on all of the metros, it's on all of the trains, it's on all of the taxis, so.
They've actually recreated the Straw Hat ships.
Yeah, they've created the ships. I mean, it's nuts. Like, Japan's obviously surrounded by water, and they'll have boats, these giant pirate ships, like, just going down the coast. And you can see as you're going, by Metro, and you're like, oh, there's Luffy's ship. Oh, there's Blackbeard. They're gonna fight now on a Tuesday. It's 9:30. What country am I in? And most of the metros, like the train stations, when they, when you're in like Orlando and it's like, please stand clear of the doors, por favor, manténganse las de las puertas. All of a sudden, Luffy's voice comes on, and he's like, and you're like, I don't know what you're saying, but I'm pretty sure you're Luffy. And he'll always like charge up at the end of it. He'll like, he's probably like saying, please check out One Piece and watch the doors when they open.
Oh God.
And you would think looking around, you would see people like getting hyped up and getting excited and stuff like that. But I mean, they're all literally like, what? They're the most well-behaved country
Oh, good.
on the planet. Has anyone ever been to Japan?
No.
It's amazing, right? So Troy Baker and I went with Laura Bailey and a couple other people for a video game for Sega. And the first day, second day we were there, we're taking our Metro to work, and you've seen the pictures, but like they shove in so that you're just like shoulder to shoulder, which is fine because everyone's pretty much like 5'6". So we're like these huge periscopes, these American periscopes, just like looking above the heads of everybody else. We're like, what's up? He left his iPhone on the Metro, like the second morning we're there, right? In the morning.
Damn.
We got to be at work all day.
Oh God.
And he's like, there goes that iPhone. I think like that version hadn't even been released in Japan yet. Surely going to be gone. We worked 6-7 hours that day, take the train back, and we get to the station near our place. And I'm like, you might as well just go up to Lost and Found with a translator and just what could it hurt? Ask. So he goes up, goes into the Lost and Found area, and goes, I'm sorry, I left my iPhone on the train this morning at around 9:30. Is there any chance anybody turned it in? And that guy goes, and pulls out a perfectly wrapped in plastic box with like a little makeshift bow and hands it over, and Troy's like, no, an iPhone. He goes, hey. And he unwraps the box and opens it up, and his iPhone is in this box. And the translator and the guy start talking, and the translator goes, yes, apparently someone found it and took it all the way to work with them, and then brought it all the way back to this station before they went home and dropped it off. Like, it is the most honor-bound country in the world. It's incredible. I'm sure you guys have heard, but when they had that horrible tsunami, like there was like no looting, no crime, no people like freaking out in anarchy. Like they're just doing their thing, helping everybody out, minding their business. It's amazing. It's amazing. Because if they do commit a crime, then they just like fall on their sword, which is also not cool.
5 minutes.
Give or take.
5 minutes.
5 minutes? We have 5 minutes left? We do have 5 minutes left. Amazing. Okay, we're gonna go through some questions. Check.
Hi. What do you like to do in your free time?
My free time, I love to be active, so I exercise a lot. Do like triathlons, CrossFit. I just try and be as crazy as possible. I'm a huge swimmer. What's that?
She just got a scholarship for
running.
Nice! Amazing. I did a half Ironman, so half marathons are like as far as I'll take it. Marathons are a little nuts. Are you a cross country runner?
No. Well, I did do cross country, but I'm
5K?
I'm a sprinter.
Amazing. What's your fastest mile time?
Oh,
She has a school record for the 60 meter, the 100
wow.
meter, and the
4x1.
You're fast, I'll leave you alone. You're very fast. That's amazing. I love to game when I have the time, because it's just a way for me to check my brain out of what's going on. What else? I love my dog. Yeah, that's about it. Working out, video gaming, and work. That's pretty much my life. Yeah, working out's important, man. Like, you gotta take care of your body, you gotta take care of yourself. I feel like it makes me less aggro when I can like lift things and throw heavy things around instead of doing that to people I don't like. I think they prefer that too. Yes?
Do you have like a personal recording setup where you live?
Yeah.
And what do you use?
Right, so like, yeah, the question was, do I have a personal recording setup? And people think that's an incredibly like daunting thing, and it's not. We've been doing voiceover for 10 years, and we haven't upgraded or bought better equipment in like 8 years. We still have the same stuff we had 8 years ago, which is, and I kid you not, we record in our closet because the clothes dampen the sound and makes it completely dead, unless somebody's like mowing their lawn, and then I like stick my head out the window. I'm like, stop doing that! Completely dead in our closet. We have about $130, $150 mic from Guitar Center. It's not expensive, it's not great, but it works. We run it through an M-Box, which is like another $100. And I run that into my MacBook Pro, and I use GarageBand to record all of my auditions, and it's fine. Like, you don't need Pro Tools. It's certainly awesome if you have it, but you don't need it. And that's how we record all of our auditions, submissions, some home sessions. It costs like, I mean, minus the laptop, it costs like $300, $350 to get set up. The nicer stuff obviously helps, but you don't need it. Yeah?
Yeah. I use Superstition.
Mm-hmm. Great software. All good stuff. Yes? Yeah.
Okay. Two things.
Two things.
Thing number 1, were they able to get a quick signature after the panel? And thing number...
So we have an autograph panel at 1. Laura and I will be up. Yeah.
And thing number 2, how does Roy feel about dogs?
He loves dogs. He did the line earlier though, so I feel like doing it twice is weird.
Okay.
I love dogs! Just for you. Yes, of course. I will be in disguise when I'm walking through the dealer room. I usually dress up as Sailor Moon. Sailor. Yeah, we'll walk around and hang out and stuff. We're a little jet lagged. We were in Europe a week and a half before this, and then we went back to LA, and now we're in the East Coast, which is 3 hours ahead. So we're kind of insane at the moment. Our bodies don't quite know what day or time it is, which is okay. That's true. It's kind of like being drunk when you're sober. I am totally sober right now. Yes?
Is there ever a voice you really wanted to do, but you haven't got the opportunity to do it yet?
No, I mean, Cell from DBZ was like the one character, like he was like my favorite villain, right? I thought Damian Clark just did a phenomenal job. And I had always said to myself that if there was ever a time that he couldn't do it, I would love to. And he got so busy during some of the DBZ games that Chris Abbott was like, did you say you thought you could do a good Cell? And I was like, yes. He goes, do you want to come in and do it for a game or two? I was like, yes, oh my God! So getting to play Cell was amazing, and then Damien had some more time free up, so that's what happened to that. But yeah, tons of great characters. I do want to play, I played Superman and like Lego Batman 2 and 3 and in a couple Super Friends animated stuff, but I want to play him in like a game or something, like a real serious Superman. Just, what? Like, don't. Any other questions? Reabouts? No? Sweet, thank you guys. Laura and I are signing at 1 p.m. Oh, at what, Ballroom C?
Yep.
Yeah.
1 o'clock, Ballroom C.
1 o'clock, Ballroom C. Awesome, thank you guys. We'll be back tomorrow and Sunday.